Am I woo-woo? Tune in to the Art of a Meaningful Life podcast because today I talk about this. Hi, everyone. I'm Carmen Davailus and your host of the Art of a Meaningful Life podcast. Today's episode, Am I Woo-Woo? is really fun, I think. And in case I forget to say, recording isn't so easy. Just saying recording isn't always easy and I forget stuff, but I would love to know what you think about this episode. So please comment. I have a whole team who will reply.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just kidding because it's just me. I will reply directly. All right, let's have some fun. Can you tell I'm in a fun mood? I'm going to tell you a story. Way back in 1994, I was working on my master's thesis. And I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my career, but I had to keep moving because I really wasn't so excited about my career at the time, like at all. And I had been a nurse for 15 years. It just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. So I went on to get my master's, hoping maybe that would give me some answers. And then later on, a family nurse practitioner. And, part of the reason I'm telling you this is I really want to stress to you to understand that I have a very strong science side. And just saying. And I'm very curious about how the body works. And I'm also very curious about how our minds work. And then became very interested in the spiritual side of things, but not as one particular entity, body or mind or spirit, but all together. Because I believe that I should have brought my Play-Doh to show you here for those of you on video. But if you've got 3 different parts to an entity, let's say I've got pink Play-Doh and blue Play-Doh and green Play-Doh, and each one is a big glob of Play-Doh, but you impact one side of it, the whole thing changes. And that's how body, mind, and spirit work together. And inherently, I always knew this and I was interested in it, but didn't really know how to put that in to words or even into actions in my career. So, for the most part, I studied a lot of anatomy and physiology, and I have trouble memorizing, so this was a challenge. Pharmacology, and a lot of education because I was going on to get my master's to be an educator. My master's thesis meant I really needed a research topic, something I really loved since the project would take well over a year, more like a year and a half. So some of my classmates talked about they were going to do studies on the impact of visiting hours in ICU and all kinds of interesting physiological topics, blood pressure, heart disease, and things like that. But I'll be real, like none of that interested me at all. At all. So one of many days I was in the library. And for those of you who are younger, the library is where you went to gather information because, well, we didn't really have computers. Time when we just begin to hear chatter about the World Wide Web. And hey, whoever thought that would take off? I mean, really, whoever thought? Things have changed a lot. So anyway, I had microfiche, books, journals, cassettes for audio, and I went over and spent hours looking through journals, all filled with research studies, hoping to find one that I would be excited to replicate. And I got a little despondent over it. I even wondered if I should be working on my master's at all. But then I stumbled upon a shelf with journals from the American Holistic Nurses Association. I have a hard time saying that even. But my first thoughts were, what the heck? And yes, I thought this isn't science. It's kind of woo-woo or out there and not appropriate for what I needed to do. Yeah, but was I ever wrong? So the first few times I left those books on the shelf, I didn't even open them, honestly. I knew that, sometimes what you dismiss holds the answers you need. And I will also tell you that I didn't listen to that. I left the books on the shelf. True story. I left the books on the shelf. Then, on yet another, numerous trips to the library where no drinks or food were allowed, so I stowed away some M&Ms. That's a little side story for you. Had them in my purse. It's too late now to put me in library jail. I can say it out loud. But anyway, I gathered up some journals, praying something would reach out to me. And I plopped down at a table with my despondency, my journals, M&Ms, and like a huge sense of defeat. On the seat next to me was, you guessed it, a compilation of the Holistic Nurses Association journals. Well, I'm also very curious. I was kind of hard-headed, but very curious. So I picked them up thinking, let's just see, what do I have to learn? What do I have to lose? Not learn. I had a lot to learn. What did I have to lose? And proceeded to sneak a few M&Ms out of my purse. But oh my goodness. First, the Journal of Holistic Nursing is a peer-reviewed publication. Advances, and I'm reading this from the journal, Science and Practice of Holistic Nursing. Science? I was curious. I was really curious. Science is what led me, but curiosity is what changed me here. So then I couldn't stop reading. I thought to myself, where had they been my whole career? I read about professional commitment, medication and error, reporting, all from the holistic standpoint, about nurses' resilience, holistic patient-centered care, that body, mind, spirit that I always knew inherently but didn't have the words for it, spiritual care and the nurse's perspective, which went on to be my thesis, by the way, mindfulness practices for stress. I read about burnout, all of these amazing scientific studies, and from students and faculty of really reputable universities. Most of the studies were done by PhDs. Yeah, so I'm not sure how long I stayed in the library that day, but I'm pretty sure it was one for the record book. I found my way home. The perfect blend of science with what I knew in my heart to be really important. All right, so I found a research study to replicate spiritual care and the nurse's perspective, got support of my thesis advisor, which was key. God bless her. She was wonderful. And I heard lots of airy-fairy comments from fellow students. There was a very small class. I love my classmates, said they're brilliant. Response wasn't so positive. Yeah, I understand. However, the next few years, it was my job to explain my thesis, my thoughts on this, what I believed, and collaborate with others. Honestly, I didn't even think about changing their minds because, well, that wasn't my job. So by the end of our 2 or 3 years together, all in deep conversation around our thesis work and what we were doing in our lives, those who had critical or sarcastic comments actually apologized. It was unnecessary, but they apologized and even began kind of following my path and thinking in different ways. And I didn't need to have this, but it was really, really nice. I went on to win some very nice awards, partly because of the head-turning research and amazing responses from nurses who wanted to tell me about their own experiences. And I'm pretty sure it was my passion for the topic as well. I'm sure it came through with what I was doing and what I was saying. But, I just want to say this too. If you've ever done research, you know this, or you've even asked people to respond or comment, you know how many actually do, right? It's like a really small percentage. So for me to send out pages and pages asking people, and my booklet, overachiever. Yeah. My booklet was probably 10 pages asking not just yes or no questions, but for them to give examples. It was a booklet. I'll never forget this, had a little blue cover and everything. I had to make copies of it. I got a grant for that because the topic was interesting. And anyway, the response that I got was amazing. I want to say it was over half, which is crazy. And not just that, that nurses answered the questions and attached extra pages. Who does that? Who does that? And, and this is well ahead of days with electronic responses. I think the message here is I wasn't the only one starving for this kind of topic in my career. The nurses' response, crazy big. And we're busy people. We are really nurses. We skip meals. We work many days in a row. We sometimes at this point in time, if we needed to stay over to finish our work because we were understaffed, we would clock out and finish charting. Wow. Yeah. So to ask nurses to respond to a questionnaire that's pages long, they were small, but still like 10 pages. And then they went on to attach I don't even know how to describe that. It was really, really big and really taught me something too. So I finished my project, was so happy with it, graduated. I became a member of American Holistic Nurse Association. I met amazing people who were so kind to give me guidance whenever I needed it and showed me a path I didn't even know existed. So consider this. The biggest lessons come from what you thought you already knew. Yeah, from what you thought you already knew. So have an open mind and an open heart. You just never know. So when you hear the words spirituality, meaning, purpose, compassion, kindness, love, and so on, don't be so quick to jump to judgment. Instead, be curious. I have a lot of stories around this time of my life and beyond. But I'm going to save those for another day because that's why I have this podcast. And we're going to have some amazing guests too. So be sure and hit the subscribe button.